Hi everyone, how have you all been? It's great to see you again. I hope you all had a great week. Mine has been incredibly busy. I'm working, like I said, on the upcoming three-way Halloween versus video, and it's a lot of work, like so much work, trying to get this done. But every day I'm getting a substantial amount of the video done, which is cool, and I hope you guys really enjoy it when it comes out. Should be a 35-minute versus video, I think. I'm kind of pulling a Marvel, and I'm still writing the script as I'm recording it. So yeah, I make sure that I have the individual segments done, and then I record those, and then I make sure I've plotted the rest of my segments out so I don't repeat myself, and I have everything, you know, organized. So there's still organization going on, even though the script is not done. But there's only 3 segments of the script that I've got left to do. And then it's done. The intro is practically done. I just got to give it a bunch of rewrites until I think it's at a level where I'm happy. There's a certain sequence in the movie that I'm going to compare across all 3 different films, and that will also take... that is pretty much done. I just need to double check and make sure I'm happy with it. And then the conclusion, which I haven't written properly yet. It's a bunch of scattered notes, but I got to turn it into something. And then, yeah, I got to edit that all together. I'm already editing a bunch of it together as it is. And then I got to put some music in there, put some additional effects in there, or although I've been working on some effects already. And yeah, then that'll be it. Ooh, Big Bash says, Eric, at the gym, I watched your Peacemaker Let's Watch. Oh wow, cool. I hope you enjoyed it. Although for those of you that don't know, I just put up the my Let's Watch, my first time watching and reacting to Peacemaker Season 2, the final episode, and it's on my Patreon today. I just put it up today. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know how Big Bash you would have watched that without having the episode side by side with it, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have known what I was laughing at or what I was talking about during the scenes. But yeah, I had a lot to say about the final episode of Peacemaker. A lot to say. And those are my initial thoughts, sort of like just watching the show for the first time. Those were my thoughts coming out of Peacemaker Season 2. And boy, I had a lot to say. So it's on my Patreon if you want to check that out. We'll answer those questions later. Give me a second. Let me just... Greg, our next Discord call will be Sunday next week. Like I say, 1 week I do as a live stream. The week after that, I do a Discord voice call. So that's how we're going to be doing it. Hang on a second. Let me just block this person right here. Make sure I'm blocking the right person. There we go. I Hate Anime, yes, the review will be spoiler-free, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh, Big Bash says in 4 days it'll be his 19th birthday. Oh, well, happy early birthday, Big Bash. I hope you have a great day when it comes. Hui Tuinmo, we'll talk about the Peacemaker finale in a bit. Anime says he can nearly watch The Black Phone. Yeah, well, stay tuned for my review and I'll talk about it. The movie's not... I see why it's been given an 18, because the movie is very violent, but at the same time, it's not that violent, the movie. So I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised as well that it got an 18. So yeah, because they do have a lot of the violence up close, so you don't see the gory details too much. Fireboy, no, I'm not going to do a Peacemaker Season 1 versus Season 2 versus video. I'm working on other versus videos right now, I haven't got time for that. Let's see, Eric, what are your thoughts about Predator Badland apparently being only PG-13? If it's PG-13, then that is bad. I'm not interested. I got some good gifts. Red Dead Redemption 2 and a Lego Phantom Menace set. I think you talked about you talked about Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Discord server. You talked about getting that and how much you're enjoying it. So, yeah. Doomblazer says, "Hey Eric, I'm fellow YouTuber Doomblazer. Nice to see your opinions on the finale. I can understand very well." YouTuber Doomblazer. I don't know, maybe what your name sounds familiar. Have I watched your videos? Give me a quick second. Nope, you're not that doomed, Laser, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, I think I've watched this person on occasion. Like, I just come across one of their videos or something. Yeah, cool. Anyway. Let's see. Joshman says, Eric, how are you doing today? And how was the first Zootopia on a rewatch? I'm doing very good, bud. I feel like I think I might be coming down with something, because I've got this sickly feeling in my throat. So I hope I'm all right. I've still got some voiceover to do for this upcoming Versus video. But yeah, so far I'm doing good. You know, fingers crossed. In terms of rewatching Zootopia, I actually really enjoyed watching Zootopia. For those of you that don't know, we did a watch party of Zootopia on my private Discord last Sunday, and in a week from now, when we do our next Discord voice chat, we're going to do another watch party, and I'm debating whether it's going to be Monster House or Coraline. Those are the two I'm debating right now for Halloween. Since this is a Halloween-themed month, I'm considering watching one of those two with you guys. So that'll be another one. But yeah, Zootopia. Really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We all had a bunch of laughs and everything, and we're chatting while watching the movie, and we all had a chat about the movie after we finished watching it. It was a lot of fun. It really was. There's extra jokes in there that I did not get when I was younger, especially one about tax, which was hilarious, which I never would have got when I was a kid. But watching Zootopia, there's a good amount of humor in there. There was also a kind of joke that could be just quite tired. One of those jokes being a Godfather reference, but I actually found that quite funny. The build up to it was really good. So yeah, watching Zootopia again, you guys will know if you actually if you watched the watch party when I talked about the movie. I really enjoyed watching it again, and I enjoyed it even more with the fact that you guys were there as we were all watching as well. So yeah, it was a ton of fun. Darksaber says, will you react to Marvel Zombies? I thought about it, but it didn't seem like anyone cared. And I saw the first 7 minutes of it, 7.5 minutes. It was so bad. I was like, this is just... I feel like turning this off right now. So Marvel Zombies was disappointing. Maybe it got better as it went, but the characters that it starts you off with and the animation is just kind of off-putting. Big Bash says, will you react to Ben 10 Race Against Time? Only if someone pays me. I wouldn't react to it otherwise. Why would I want to put myself through that trauma? Oh, hi, hi, Crisis. Crisis averted. Thanks for joining the stream. G1 says, Eric, I finished The Last of Us Part 1 recently and I loved it. 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. I've got The Last of Us over there, the remastered of the first game. It wasn't called The Last of Us Part 1 at the time because there was no Part 2. So yeah, I played that. And yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10 as well. And I'm not really a fan of horror games, but I absolutely loved it. Okay, so we'll wait for a few more of you to come in, then we'll get to talking about the topics for today. So yeah, and as always, if you guys want to give any super chats or Streamlabs chats to get your questions answered, I'll answer them immediately if you do that. And plus, it also helps support the channel. So they're all welcome, super chats or Streamlabs chats. Garrett, you didn't miss anything. I'm waiting for a few more people to come in. Looks like I've got a very old friend that has just popped into that's popped into the chat. We got Prav D, who's an old friend of mine back when I used to do not video games, smartphone and tech reviews. Oh, how you doing, PD? Haven't seen you in a while. It's been very busy and everything, not only with life but also making all of these videos here. Usually, for those of you that don't know, me and PD, we go back a long time ago, back when in the early days when I was doing like tech reviews and stuff on YouTube. And on top of that, we all kind of were like into the same technology scene. We were into smartphones and all these other kinds of things. And yeah, eventually after that, Eric, my children say hi. So yeah, we've really been sort of like been friends since that time, online friends, which is I'm actually kind of surprised how it happened. I never would have thought that we had been friends all this time. But yeah, funny thing, PD, is that just recently I did review a tech product after so many years. It was a projector. So if you want to give it a watch, let me know what you think of my tech reviewing skills after all these years later. I'd be very curious to see what you think. It's a Valerian projector that I managed to set up in my attic. Great to see. I never would have expected that. That was a pleasant surprise. Glad to see you pop into the live stream. Khan says, hang on, Caleb's been asking me this question for quite a bit. Caleb says, Eric, I love Child's Play 1 and 2 movies. What about you? Yeah, I love the Child's Play movies as well. If in case you've missed it, I did a Child's Play, original Child's Play versus the Child's Play remake. So check that versus video out if you want to know my thoughts on it. But yeah, I loved it. I also did the Child's Play remake versus Megan, you know, the first one. So that's there as well if you want to... give that a watch. So I've discussed the Child's Play movies in great detail, basically. Okay, Big Bass says, do you think Ben 10 Race Against Time would have been better if it was animated? No, I still think it would have been terrible. Race Against Time, that is just... That script and everything to do with that movie was just misguided. So, even if they animated it, it still would have been bad. Let's see. Funny says, hey Eric, I was planning to watch the MCU in chronological order, but then I changed my mind since there's a lot of projects for Doomsday. Yeah, plus post Endgame, you're not gonna want to have to watch all of those. That'll be very rough if you have to watch all of those. So, yeah, I'd avoid those if you can. Let's see. G1 says, the problem with Marvel Zombies is simple. No one cares about the roster of characters. Exactly. That is the big problem with it. In fact, that's one of the big reasons why I turned it off less than 10 minutes into the first episode. It was just really... It's like they didn't put their best foot forward for that one. Big Bash says, I remember Static Shock had a random racism episode. It did a good job of handling the topic. Yeah, I expect them back in those days to handle it very well. They knew how to do it back then. I don't know if it's MCU canon, I hate anime. I'd be surprised if it was. Connor says, how you doing, Eric? I went to a horror convention yesterday and met Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers. Nice. Oh, I hope you had a great time when you were there. I miss the old days of Marvel before the MCU. I mean, there's good stuff to come out of the MCU, but yeah, I do miss when, like, we would get X-Men's from, like, Fox, or Spider-Man from Sam Raimi. You know, those were some fun days, for sure. Rohan says, hello, Eric, how was your weekend? My weekend was actually very good. I've been very busy again. Just you wait when you see this next Versus video. I've been spending a lot of time on it. It's just... I'm getting the work done, but trying to balance that with everything else in my life, including the Peacemaker video I put up on my Patreon, where I talked about the finale to season 2, and all that stuff. It's really been kicking my ass. It's been a lot of work. Fireboy says, are you okay, Eric? Yeah, I'm good. Just a bit tired, and I might be catching something. Feeling a little bit of a sickly feeling in my throat today, so hopefully that doesn't turn into anything. The Dark Lord says, what do you think of Static Shock? I liked it, though found it a bit too simple at times and made some poor writing choices. I only saw a couple episodes because I never had the channel of it, but I remember being blown away when Batman showed up from Batman the Animated Series and Kevin Conroy was in there, and there was a Joker crossover where that was surprising to me. I remember when I was a kid. I got so lucky to have just... The odd time I got to see an episode, that was the one I saw. Super Angry says, Eric, be nice to the Black Phone. I bought the frickin' Fortnite skin. Well, we'll see. You guys don't know what I think of Black Phone yet, so I'll talk about it soon, and then we can talk. Then you'll find out. Khan says, Eric, have you heard about Ben 10 having an official comic book series? This could be a good sign that the series may get an animated spin-off. I've heard of that, and I hope it does. I hope it does get... I hope it sells well. And I hope they are able to make another series out of it, but a more mature series. That would be really cool. Anime says he's trying his best to avoid spoilers. I think you're talking about the Black Phone. Don't worry, I won't be giving spoilers. It's a spoiler-free review. Super Angry says, Eric, remember when you were hyping James Gunn the past few years, and now look, he's jammed the gun. Well, we'll talk about that. Trust me, we've got a lot to say. G1 says, how come Hulk had the power of the Infinity Stones and he still lost against zombies? Did he? I've not even seen that, so I can't say. Alright then, I think with that said, I think we'll start getting into the stories. And as we do, like I said, when we focus on them, you're gonna have to... When we focus on them, I'm going to be focusing on the stories at hand, so I will not be able to answer your questions. So what you're going to have to do is if you want to ask me any questions and you want me to answer them immediately, then either do a super chat and ask me a question through that, or click the link in the description or the link in the pinned comment section and go to Streamlabs and do a donation through that, and you'll get your question answered, and it will pop up on the screen. Your name will pop up on the screen. So if you want to know, if you want to get your questions answered immediately, that's the way to do it. And of course, anytime you do that, it supports the channel. And also in this time, you'll also get a shout out if you get a membership, or even if you gift a membership to your fellow viewers. You'll also get a shout out as well, and you'll also get your name dropped right here forever for the rest of the to be displayed on this video forever. So with that said, let's get to Peacemaker Season 2. The finale for Peacemaker Season 2 has had a huge backlash and is apparently a disaster. So I'm going to describe to you guys my thoughts on this whole situation. Now, in order to talk about what I think of the finale, I'll very quickly first talk about what I think of the first 7 out of the 8 episodes. So, the first 7 episodes, I think that they had some problems, but ultimately, I liked them. I actually liked how it continued the story from where Peacemaker Season 1 left off, and how all of our characters here were all being punished because Amanda Waller was called out by her daughter at the end of Peacemaker Season 1. So they're all trying to get jobs in like these different agencies, they're all trying to like keep themselves afloat, but Waller has blacklisted them and they can't get any of those jobs. However, something has happened, that being that Rick Flag Sr., who was in Creature Commandos and in the James Gunn Superman movie, he has popped into the equation, and he's gotten a promotion recently. And by getting this promotion, he now is at the right level to where he can ask, how did my son, Rick Flag Jr., get killed? So he does just that. He finds out it was Peacemaker, and now he's trying to get revenge on Peacemaker. So the story for this season of Peacemaker is that Rick Flag Sr. is trying to go after Peacemaker so he can capture him and do God knows what to him for killing his son. That is the story right there for Peacemaker Season 2. And it's not a... You probably could tell it's not very involved or in-depth, isn't it? It's a very small slither of a story. But that's the story that James Gunn has brought in here. Now, the story being such a basic story, that is actually something that I did not like about this show. Because if you think about Peacemaker Season 1, it had a big story, that being the whole invasion of the butterflies, essentially, which were basically these aliens. And that was a good story. And as well as having that story, what we also had was... we also had a ton of character arcs in Season 1. But the character arcs were also lacking in Peacemaker Season 2. Because we actually do not get character arcs in Peacemaker Season 2. We only get 2 character arcs. In Season 1, all the characters got arcs, including the villains. But no, in Peacemaker Season 2, the only 2 that really get an arc is Peacemaker, of course, as he should, but also Harcourt, James Gunn's wife in the show. Those 2 are the ones that get the biggest sort of like character arcs. And the other characters, they get little bits of character arcs here and there, but ultimately Peacemaker Season 2 is the Harcourt and Peacemaker show. It's all about them, both when they were in, the versions of the characters that we know, and their doppelgangers from the other dimension that you saw if you saw the trailer for this show, or if you saw the episodes. So that's what the show is based around. And that was my biggest problem, is that we've got a very small slither of a story, and only 2 of the characters are having character arcs, and quite frankly, for a lot of season 2, I was wondering, where are we going with this? Because it was moving along quite well, but I was thinking, under all of this, what's the big story? And it wasn't until I got to episode 7, which was actually a very good episode, and John Cena delivered a fantastic performance. But it wasn't until the end of season 7 where I was like, oh, is this where we're going? Is it going to be where the character from the... This is going to be spoilers, by the way. But is it going to be where his brother from the other dimension tries to come back to his dimension and get revenge on this Peacemaker for killing his brother and for having his friend kill his father? That's what I thought was going to happen. But no. And a lot of people thought that was going to happen. But no. Instead, we get the finale to Peacemaker Season 2, which essentially was just one, as Adam Grunther put it, is like one really long epilogue. And that was something which I don't know what they were thinking, because we felt like it was all supposed to be building up to something, leading to something, some big event, which was apparently meant to have an effect for and be a cliffhanger and lead into Man of Tomorrow. But it doesn't. Instead, we just get a bunch of nothing, to be quite frank with you. In the final episode, I was expecting a lot of stuff to happen, but a lot of stuff doesn't. It's like barely anything happens. And I've actually got a list here of stuff that actually happens in this. Now, in the final episode, one thing that I did not like is that there were so many song numbers. James Gunn said this episode was going to be longer than the others, and I was thinking, oh, if it's going to be longer than the others, will it be like The Penguin, for example, which the final episode was over an hour? And that's because they had a lot to show, so is that why it's going to be as long as it is? No, it turns out that the episode would have been just as long as the rest of the episodes if they took out James Gunn's needle drop song numbers that he keeps putting in. It actually would have been a shorter episode if he took those out, but he didn't. He padded those out. And the worst part is that there is a montage at the end of the episode where all the characters are getting to work and they're doing stuff, and as well as showing the characters all like, you know, doing a quick cut editing montage of what the characters are up to, then it automatically, for some reason, it cuts to the concert of the people who are singing this song that James Gunn's putting in. And it keeps intercutting back between our characters and back between that band. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? I can't believe this is actually in a DC show. They keep cutting back towards a band. It's like he turned that final montage, which is supposed to be a cool montage. Movies have done montages all the time. He took a montage and turned it into a music video. And I was like, maybe James Gunn likes this? But this is not something that the majority of people who have come to watch a DC show have come to see. But this is something that James Gunn has a problem with. He really loves, we know this, he loves his songs. But it's like he's just kind of doing something that he wants to see, but he doesn't care if anyone else wants to see it. So that thing came in, and those songs, not only were they loud, not only did they keep going on, but it ruined the tone for some scenes. I was like, proper music here would have done much better. But yeah, I did not like the concert that he did. I thought that was insulting, actually, when he put that in. And then we have rushed story and character changes in the final episode. Now, the establishment of Checkmate at the end that our characters create. Checkmate is, if you've read the comics, is this big thing, and I'm surprised that they just, in that song montage I told you about, that music video, that's how they create Checkmate. Like this big organization in the DC universe through a concert song list, essentially, a music video. I was like, this is terrible. This is such a bad choice on James Gunn's part, and it felt like nothing once they had launched that thing. And also, Rick Flag Sr., he becomes a villain, essentially, in this episode. Now, Rick Flag Sr., if you've watched Man of Tomorrow, or if you've watched Creature Commandos, he's someone who operates in the grey. He's not all good, but he's not all bad. But in this episode, I think he turned all bad. But they didn't spend enough time on it, so it just felt very abrupt. Basically, he tries to go through that realm, that portal that Peacemaker's father had in the first season. Peacemaker has it in this season, and they take it from him. And they try to use it, and Rick Flag Sr. uses it because he wants to find a planet or a dimension where they can just drop all the metahumans in and, imprison them. Now, this is where things kind of got really strange, is that in order to find this realm, there's so many rooms. It's like Shazam, when they go through all those doors, except this is James Gunn's version. There are so many of these rooms, and they go into all these rooms that have, like, some weird stuff. Like, they got zombies. They also go into a room where it's like a candy land, where you have these little critters that eat people. Like, it's really messed up stuff. And Rick Flag Sr. keeps sending in all these scientists and explorers to go in there, and they get brutally murdered after every visit just to find this place that he's looking for. And Rick Flag is just drinking alcohol, and he's just laughing and getting all drunk with Lex Luthor's goons and just a bunch of random people that he's there with. And I was thinking, you do know, Rick Flag, that the reason you're even doing all of this is to come after Peacemaker, someone who killed your son. And you think that he would actually have some kind of empathy towards that, because the people that he's sending into that dimension who are dying, they have families too. They also have parents as well. But yet he doesn't give a second's thought to those parents and the pain they must be feeling that their kids got killed. He doesn't care. And I was thinking, once you cross that kind of line, you're no longer, like, in the grey. You're in the black. You're a villain at this point. And I feel like James Gunn just rushed to that so quickly. I wouldn't mind if that happened slowly and organically. James Gunn is very good with characters, so he can do it. But for some reason, it was just so abrupt. And Rick Flag Sr. just went from this character that was operating in the grey to all of a sudden operating in the black. And I did not like that. I thought, as far as character development went, I thought that was a big disservice to Rick Flag. And at this point, I don't care about him anymore. And I just want him to die, because I think he's irredeemable after what he has done. So that was something that I did not like. Oh, Adam Grunther is here. He says, I still think Flag Sr. is an Earth 10 plant. I'm trying to think, when would that have happened, though? I'm trying to think, because that never crossed my mind even once. It just seemed like this was the same Rick Flag. If he's an Earth 10 plant, how would that happen? I'm trying to think back. I'll think about it later, but I don't know how he could be an Earth 10 plant. I don't recall there being any insinuation of that. But yeah, so I didn't like what they did there with Rick Flag becoming a villain, and it just felt very quick. Like it just happened just like that. So I didn't like that. Also, like I said, the establishment of Checkmate was done so quickly as well. And then we also have Peacemaker gets put into prison in the final episode, and Eagley was so depressed about it. But then when Peacemaker comes out of prison, he doesn't have a little mini reunion even with Eagley. It's like they make a point to say Eagley is depressed, but then when he comes out, we don't even see a little moment between them. That's all we would have needed, was just a little moment. But we didn't even get that. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, this episode is much longer than a lot of the other episodes, but it's missing out on so much screen time because it focuses on a bunch of stuff that's not necessary, like those song numbers and needle drops. And also it's weird that Peacemaker basically gets put in prison and is in prison at the beginning of this episode, and then he gets taken out of prison, only for the end of the episode for him to get thrown into another prison, essentially, in that Salvation prison, which is where the Rick Flag wants to put all the metahumans. I was like, when you look at the beginning of the episode and where it ends, I was like, it just felt like we kind of went in a bit of a roundabout way kind of thing. It just felt a bit bizarre. And also, this is another problem, and I'm going to say this is actually a problem with James Gunn. James Gunn kept hyping these last 3 episodes up, and he even described it as the best thing he has done. And at first I was like, you know what, the first two of the final 3 episodes, I was like, these are good and I like them, but I was like, I don't know, they're not great. But I was kind of like just hedging my bets and thinking, okay, maybe it all comes down to the final episode, maybe that'll bring it home, and then we'll see what James Gunn meant when he says these final 3 episodes are so good. But the final episode, and I've said this if you go to my Patreon and watch my big rant, where I watch the episode for the first time and then I give you guys my thoughts. The thing I said is that... hold on. Yeah, the thing I said is that this final episode, it was the worst. Not only was it the worst, but I felt like it needed a complete rewrite. Because it just felt like the first 7 episodes were fun, and then the final episode, it felt like it did everything it could to basically just disappoint its audience. And it's the longest episode, but I don't even know why it's the longest, because when you get down to it, I feel like they really could have trimmed this episode down. It could have been just as long as all the others. But to make it as long as it was, like about over 50 minutes, and then it just ended up being this big nothing burger of an episode, that really does surprise me, because James Gunn has not been like this when he's written. Normally, even if there's stuff that he's done I've not liked, you can see that there's a story he's telling, there's character arcs he's trying to tell. With this one, it felt like, compared to the character arcs that Peacemaker has had in Season 1 and in Season 2 so far, this final episode to me just felt like everything was just done on the quick. It's like, did he run out of money or something at the end? It just feels off. This feeling I get this feeling I got when I saw the final episode of Peacemaker Season 2 is what I usually notice when TV shows have all their funding pulled, or there is some controversial sort of like story behind the scenes of some weird stuff going on, because it did not click at all. Also, James Gunn kept saying that there's going to be huge DC characters coming in these final 3 episodes, and one of them was Lex Luthor. But then in the next 2 episodes, we get Lex Luthor's goons, and is that what he was also talking about? Like, huge DC characters are coming? Like, I know James Gunn loves his C tier and D tier characters in the comic books, but most people don't care about those characters. So for him to make such a big deal about them was just genuinely like, come on, James, what are you doing? So I actually thought that wasn't good what he was doing right there. And honestly, this is where also, one more thing I want to mention. Judo Master and Langston, they both joined Checkmate at the end with our main characters. And I was thinking, wait, when did they join our characters? Because Judo Master, he was so clearly on the verge of joining, but I feel like they needed one more scene just to really tie it in for him to be joined with them. And Langston, honestly, I don't know what made him join. Like, how did that happen? It was like, I felt like we needed much more development with him, but all they did with him was just a ton of jokes. And when he finally did come and join them, I was like, when did this happen? Like, seriously. Oh, so yeah, I thought this episode was just, whereas the previous episodes, even though they were very basic and light in terms of story, the characters is what ultimately got me through, particularly with Peacemaker. Like I said, John Cena is great in this show. But it was the final episode that ruined all of it. It felt like they didn't know what to do, or they just wanted... I don't even know what their thinking was behind it. But basically, we need this... I agree with one of you, I can't remember who said it, but they said that people have been saying that this is like the worst DCU thing, and that it makes them question like the validity of the DCU. At first, when I heard this, before I saw the episode, I was like, okay, that's an exaggeration, come on, you can't judge the whole thing based on one episode. But after watching it myself, I kind of get it, why people are saying that, is James Gunn even right for this? Because we're just talking about a TV show like Peacemaker. Season 1, I loved Season 1. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Season 2, I was like, all these episodes, even though I know the first 7 are not great, I liked them. That tells you I do like this whole formula he's got going for Peacemaker, and I do like these characters, I like this world. Yes, it's got some jokes that go over the top and they're not funny, but I can look past those ultimately, because I really do love this show. But it actually felt like, if this is the final episode that James Gunn is going to release, and he actually thinks people are going to like this, where it was just an extended epilogue, and it had a freaking like music number, like a music video in there, to establish this big sort of like organization in the DC universe, that made me think, you know what? Maybe James Gunn, like, maybe we shouldn't put as much confidence in him as we have. Because I was thinking that if this is the kind of thing that he thinks is actually acceptable, then I don't have full trust in him, because I feel like anyone should have said to him, this final episode, you had something with these others, but you got nothing with this. Like, it's just a bunch of... It just felt like a big waste to me, ultimately. I like the Peacemaker and Harcourt stuff, and I like a couple of the other bits in there, but ultimately it just felt like a waste. This final episode of Peacemaker really did feel like a waste. I wish they would have rewritten this whole episode and given us something else, and then have it lead into Man of Tomorrow in a more exciting and eventful way. But it ended feeling like a very cheap show. Even though the episodes before that, they weren't super expensive, but I felt like there was some smart writing in there. The final episode felt like it was just scraping the bottom of the barrel. It felt like a really dirt cheap show in terms of its writing. I couldn't even believe James Gunn wrote it, because that final episode, in many ways, just felt like it was generic television, quite frankly. So, yeah, I was really kind of like put off by that final episode, which is such a shame, because I enjoyed Peacemaker up till that point. So yeah, that final episode of Peacemaker, I'm actually giving it a 4 out of 10. It might even go to a 3 the more I think about it, but right now that final episode is a 4 out of 10. And before I saw the final episode, I would say the show was either a low 8 out of 10, a high 7 or a low 8. But now after this final episode, I think the show overall, I'll probably just give it a 6. I'll give it a high 6. Because I liked the first 7 episodes. They're not as good as the first 7 episodes in season 1, but they were still fun. I still enjoyed them. But the final episode is what ultimately ruined this season for me. It felt like when it was over, like, what was that all about? If I actually had to wait week after week to watch these episodes, I would get pissed if this is how it ended. But I got to wait for all the 7 episodes to come out, and then I binge watched them, and then I watched episode 8 a day or 2 after it came out or something. So I did enjoy the first 7 episodes, but the final one is what ruined it for me, and ultimately is why I am disappointed with the finale of season 2. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people were disappointed. In fact, even some of James Gunn's hardcore fans were disappointed. There are some people that still like insult anyone who doesn't like it, and they're no different to the hardcore Snyder fans. Because just like how Zack Snyder has his really annoying stuff that he puts into his movies, like ultra slow motion, like in that Rebel Moon, when people were harvesting crops and all that, and he had that in slow-mo, and people are like, come on, Zack, you don't have to slow-mo that. But then you had his fans who says, oh no, it's great, it's amazing, if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. I feel like that's what James Gunn's fans were doing when it came to the song numbers in the final episode, especially that music video. It felt like they had become those excessive Snyder fans, but they were just James Gunn's excessive fans. So yeah, I think James Gunn, what we saw in this episode, just like how Zack Snyder has a problem with his style, James Gunn had a problem with his style, and it really showed in this final episode. And I hope that James Gunn really gets a grip and stops this incessant need to keep shoving songs in to all of these movies. He even did it in Superman. So I really hope he just realizes that he can't keep doing that, and he's got to stop it. That's his style, not DC's style. If he wants to do it in other movies, do it. But in DC, especially certain projects, know when to stop. Peacemaker is one of those shows where he can get away with more of it, but even he crossed the line here. So yeah, I did not like what he did with that final episode, and from what I've heard, I don't think it's overblown. I can see why people are annoyed with this. And I really did like the 7th episode when his brother was there, and when John Cena cried over his brother when they were all attacking him. That was excellent. That shows you James Gunn knows what he's doing when it comes to these characters, but it just confuses me all the more that he did so good with that, but then he did this with the final episode of season 2. So that's what confuses me the most, is that James Gunn is so good, so why did he do this crappy final episode? It's confusing. Adam Grunther says, I think this is all a result of one director working on 3 massive projects at once within 1 year. I think both he and his audience needed a break, and that's what we're getting in 2026. Yeah, maybe, Adam. Maybe that's the case. But the thing is, he needs to have people there who read through the scripts and tell him no. James Gunn said he doesn't like yes men, basically people that just say everything he does is great. And if that was true, I really would have expected them to have said no to this final episode, that this is not good enough. But no one said it. So yeah, that's no good. I was very disappointed with that. So what do you guys think? What did you guys think of the finale to Peacemaker Season 2? Do you think it's overblown? Or do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think the response from everyone else is overblown? Or do you think it's all justified, the hate that this final episode is getting? Where is my pen? Oh, there it is. Dropped the lid to my pen when I was here. G-Gamer says, I haven't seen it, so I can't say, but it sounded disappointing. It was. There's nothing to spoil in this final episode. Anime says, hasn't seen it. Big Bass says, I don't know if I'll check out Peacemaker after this. Check out Season 1. Season 1 is great, and it continues off of the Suicide Squad movie. Season 2, watch the first 7 episodes, then just don't bother with the final one. Anime says, I haven't even seen Peacemaker Season 1. Yeah. Khan says, should we be concerned for the rest of the DC universe, Eric? I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no either. James Gunn, I feel like he really lost it with quality control in this final episode. So, yeah, we'll have to just wait and see. But for me, I'm just happy that we're going to hopefully still get Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 film. Super Angry says, did you know that there's no Season 3 of Peacemaker happening? Yes, I heard about that. Very disappointing. Makes the ending for this even worse. Mike says, I liked it, except for the ending. Yeah, the ending is what really put a lot of people off, myself included. Dark Lord says, also, the way Peacemaker and everyone bring up some event on the boat from before the Season 2 time starts, you think it was more than just that kiss. Yeah, you kind of think it would be. But that's James Gunn's wife, so I don't think, he wanted to do anything like that. Mike says, imagine ending an entire series with a cliffhanger. I know, right? Fireboy says, the only problem in Season 2 is that Peacemaker is barely wearing a suit, because in Season 1, Peacemaker always wearing a suit a lot in every episode, but in Season 2, he's not wearing a suit. I never even thought about that, because I see him as Peacemaker whether he's wearing the suit or not, really. But yeah, it was disappointing. Mike says, Episode 7 felt like a finale. Episode 8 felt like the beginning of a whole new season. Yeah, it kind of did. I will say Episode 7 did not feel like a finale to me. It felt too small scale for a finale. It felt like it wasn't really... We needed more than that if it was going to feel like a finale, but I don't think it felt like one. Nate the Great says, will your Halloween Versus video have recent or older movies? It will have both. Yeah. Goat says, Eric, I was diagnosed with bird blindness yesterday. Yeah, sure you were. Jacinda says, I think a cliffhanger can work, but sometimes a show works better if everything wraps up. I agree, yeah. I wish this one would have wrapped up, because the way they ended it, that was not at all satisfying, and I don't even think we're going to get an answer. So, yeah. Big Bash says, so many good shows ended with a cliffhanger and never got renewed. Yeah, that has happened in the past, yeah. Dark Lord says, I will say I love Eagley this season, mainly because he handled those agents and that bird blind guy was like, who the duck is here is in here? I actually thought Eagley was a bit much this season. Mainly because of that whole joke they did in episode 5, where it's like the King Eagle or the Prime Eagle or whatever he called him. I was like, what the hell is this? Like this started as a joke and then it turned something real. It was just too stupid, I thought. And Eagley just felt like the characters weren't really in danger this season. In season 1 they would get hurt and you would feel like, oh damn, anything can happen to them. But in season 2 I never felt that danger, quite frankly. Even with Eagley, I was like, he's fighting everyone and he never gets hit. And I was like, wow, now it's like there's plot armor around all of them, essentially. Ginger cool, says Go. If you've seen Peacemaker, you'll know what he's talking about. Trevor says, in my opinion, Peacemaker Season 2 is like Arcane Season 2. It had some good moments, but thought it was a massive letdown to Season 1. Yeah, I still haven't seen Arcane Season 2, but I still want to. But, wow, to hear that that's disappointing, that's not a particularly good thing. Anime says, who's your favourite wrestler turned actor? I would say John Cena now because of Peacemaker. But I would say Dave Bautista. If you saw him in Blade Runner 2049, he was a really good actor in that, and it blew me away back in the day. I was like, wow, this is Drax, but you would never expect it to be Drax because he's playing a much more subdued role here. So I thought he was really good, but we just haven't really seen him in a role where he can really express his acting chops like that. I wish we could. Alright, time to move on to the next story. Tron Ares. Now, Tron Ares apparently is a big flop. It's a big flop. It's lost a bunch of money at the box office. In fact... Oh, where did that go? In fact, we're on its second week now, I think it is. Its second week. And here's how much it made at the worldwide box office so far. $103 million worldwide. I think this is its second or third week. Or its second week, I should say. And here's the budget. The budget is $180 million plus prints and advertising. So it actually costs more than 180 million, and worldwide it's only made 103 million so far. And for those of you that don't know, we'll round it up to about $200 million, the budget. Essentially, the movie needs to make about 450 million to break even. But if it's made only 103 million right now worldwide, it's not going to get to that number. They're going to lose money on this film. So yeah, it's pretty much, I think it's fair to say that it is a flop of a movie. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of points as to why I think it flopped. So, the number one point is that Tron was never successful at the box office. It's had 2 movies before this. First one called Tron, the second called Tron Legacy, and now this one, Tron Ares. And both of those movies did not do well at the box office. But apparently, the Tron rides at Disneyland do incredibly well. And I think that's why Disney are really trying to get a movie off the ground with this thing, and they're hoping it succeeds. But for some reason in the movie space, Tron just never seems to work. Now, I've not seen Tron Ares, but it seems to be talking a lot about AI, Tron Ares does. And that's a very relevant talking point, subject matter. But it's interesting that aside from The Matrix, I don't think any of these other movies really have worked and taken off in that regard. So it's just further proof as to how good The Matrix is, that it's still memorable, you can watch it multiple times, and it's kind of a timeless message with regards to technology and everything. Especially how it uses AI in that movie too. So I think that that not only does that show how special The Matrix is, but it just goes to show how Tron just doesn't really connect with audiences. So yeah, the budget, the worldwide gross box office, versus the budget, very disappointing. This is not a result that Disney was looking for. And it's surprising. While approaching the end of the year, Disney still cannot really seem to get a hit on their hands, aside from Lilo and Stitch this year. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how much they are just kind of falling apart here. It really is. So, yeah. Now, another reason I think this movie turned people off is because Jared Leto is in it. Jared Leto is in the movie, and no one really cares about Jared Leto. In fact, I think he is the reason alone why this movie has tanked. Now, we can see here, a Hollywood Reporter have made an article where they say, no one asked for this reboot. Tron may mark the end of Jared Leto's franchise leading days. And the reason why is because he's what they call box office poison. You put him in a movie, no one's going to want to see it. And honestly, that's because I don't think anyone likes Jared Leto. Not personally, but really as an actor. Because I think when you think Jared Leto, to this day, I still think about what he did on that Joker set when he was in the Suicide Squad. What he did, the reputation he had, that how he was kind of like deluding himself and thinking that he's being a really good method actor when his performance sucked from what we saw. It's just, I think that really damaged his image, and people are just not having it. They don't care about Jared Leto. And I think that's a big reason why this movie flopped. And he's also going to be apparently in the He-Man movie playing Skeletor, so we'll see how that works out for him. But yeah, Jared Leto, I think he's a big reason why this movie did not do well. And also, this article talks about the fact that Disney are going to actually consider just stop making Tron movies, because this is the third time. I mean, normally the saying is 3 strikes and you're out. This is the third strike. I think there's no reason why Disney would want to make another movie of Tron. Now, I would say, though, this is not a great movie, though. I've not seen it, but the reviews are not good. So, if they made a better movie, then you could say, okay, you put your best foot forward, and it still didn't work. But when they don't put their best foot forward, and this is what they release, some crap that people don't like, then what do you expect? People, of course, are not going to show up to a crappy movie, so is this really a fair test? I think that they just didn't do a good job, really. You know, they've really got to do better when it comes to making these movies. Hollywood really has a problem. They keep making these movies that no one cares about. And when they do make movies that people care about, they don't put enough work into the script. They think, just do a bunch of special effects. That'll get people in. It's like, yeah, if there's good special effects, that could bring people in, but you really got to put your best foot forward with a great story and great characters. And from what I hear, based on the character that Jared Leto is playing, they make him be very dull, essentially. So yeah. Khan says, it is very coincidental. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my nose. It's like... Ugh. Anyway, Khan says, it is very coincidental how Jared Leto was in 3 franchises, and they both ended up getting cancelled after Jared Leto was casted in those movies. Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just Jared Leto. There are other actors that are failing to impress as well. I mean, Ryan Gosling is another actor who's just not performing at the box office. So, yeah. Zilla Universe says, I thought Tron Ares was okay. Yeah, and okay is not good enough to say to people, pay however much money it costs for a ticket nowadays to go see this movie in theaters and bring your family. It's like, that's not good enough. You got to make the movie great, but we're just hearing too many stories of bad movies being made these days. So yeah, they got to do better. Disney have to. This is a bad year for them. Aside from Lilo and Stitch, I don't really think they've been doing a good job with the box office, quite frankly. Big Bash says, Tron Ares was the ultimate showcase of style over substance. Yeah, it kind of is. Both Dwayne Johnson and Jared Leto are the franchise killer. Yeah. I don't know if Dwayne Johnson is the franchise killer yet. We'll see what happens when he releases that next Jumanji movie and the next Moana. I think those will probably make money. Probably not as much as they want them to, except for maybe Moana. But I think... But I do think that the Jumanji movie, that'll be a good test to see if people will still watch Dwayne Johnson. I Hate Anime says, I heard he was great in the Smashing Machine. I heard he was great in the Smashing Machine too, but I heard he was great for Dwayne Johnson standards. Compare him to other great actors, I think he didn't go to that level from what I've heard. Jess, don't worry, I don't think anyone is going to bring Jared Leto near the Spider-Man universe again. G-Gamer says, sadly, they're probably going to make back their money with Avatar 3 and Zootopia. We'll have to see. The hype around Avatar 3 seems to be barely anything when these trailers are coming out. It's why they're trying harder to advertise Avatar 3. And Zootopia 2, I've heard no hype whatsoever, but I am sure it will do a great job. I'm sure it will do very well. So yeah, they have those two movies, but quite frankly, Tron hasn't worked out for them, and neither have all these other movies. They've also got some Fox movies as well, like Predator Badlands. And we'll see how that does. Although, you know what? Let me take a look here. One of you said Predator Badlands could be PG-13. Let's see. Oh boy. This might be true. For the first time in the almost 4 decades since the blood-hungry character first clicked its way onto screens, Predator Badlands will shed an R rating and instead opt for PG-13. Oh my god. Predator Badlands is going to be a PG-13. What the heck? I mean, are there going to be any human characters that he kills? Is that why the blood is not crazy in this movie for that reason? So maybe that's why. Let me see. Predator Badlands. When does it release? 7th of November. So a couple weeks and a half essentially. So let me see. What's the rate certificate in the UK? Because the UK will tell you a lot. If it's 12, then that means it's the most PG-13 of PG-13 ratings, like base level PG-13. Let's see. The trailer is a 12. I wouldn't be surprised if the movie is, quite frankly. But yeah, that would be bad if it's PG-13. Like, seriously, why? That's kind of a bad side of Disney getting hold of Predator. And if it makes money, then you know they're going to want to keep it a PG-13 franchise, which will just be very bad. Oh, boy. Oh. So that's so disappointing to hear. That really is. But what can you do? That's so disappointing. Alright, so has anyone got anything to say about Tron Ares? I Hate Anime says his review is on the Discord. Okay, cool. We'll look at that later. Scared Driffy, I'm not joining no Jared Leto cinematic universe. Okay, you guys seem all pretty good, so I think we can move on to the next story. Khan says, all I can say is I'm glad I didn't see it, nor did I care about seeing the movie, and seeing so many of the results of the box office, I don't care at all. Yep, that's pretty much, I think, the sentiments of everyone else. Although, did you hear that the 3D for Tron Ares is apparently really good? That's what I've heard people talk about. The 3D is really good. That's right, Gary Loke, because of, not only because of Joker, but yeah, Morbius as well. I think he's kind of become renowned because of that. The comic book movie really wasn't kind to Jared Leto, wasn't it? Alright, next story is Black Phone 2. Okay, so I saw this movie, what day was it? I saw it Friday when it came out, so that was 2 days ago. Now, I saw Black Phone 2, and I did see the first movie, and I enjoyed the first movie. I don't think I loved it, but I enjoyed it. And the Black Phone 2, I went to go see this movie, and again, it revolves around a killer called the Grabber. And the Grabber in the first movie is someone who would kidnap kids, put them into his van, and then he would, take them to this basement, and he would toy with them and try to let them escape. And when they escape, he then basically beats them and then eventually kills them. So quite grisly and gnarly, but apparently it's kind of based on a true story in the sense that in the 70s, kids being kidnapped by someone in a truck was actually a thing. So yeah, kind of messed up. But ultimately, the first movie was actually pretty good. It was very well received. And the director of the Black Phone, ended up making the first Doctor Strange. And he was going to make Doctor Strange 2, but then Kevin Feige didn't want him to make it as much of a horror movie as he was going to make it. So Kevin Feige then tried to, got him off the project and then brought someone else in, that person being Sam Raimi. So yeah, now let's talk about the good elements of this movie. Now, the good elements of this movie is I thought it had some creative directing. Scott Derrickson is the director, and I think he's got quite a creative visual eye. There's cool visuals, there's cool cinematography, and I also like how the character of the Grabber, who's the serial killer in this movie, I like how in this time, because for those of you who haven't seen the first one, spoilers, he actually died at the end of the first movie. So now here he's kind of haunting people as this entity that comes after them in their dreams. You see that? Does that remind you of any particular movie you may have seen in the past? So that's what he does. And the visuals, I like how anytime he's in a kid's dream sequence, it switches to this 16mm film kind of look. Like the whole look of the movie looks like it's an olden film from really back in the day. And that was actually a really cool effect. I like how they did that. It made the movie feel a bit more like unnerving in those scenes. So I thought that was cool. Also, I like the siblings that come back in this movie. You got Mason Thames, who played Hiccup in the live-action How to Train Your Dragon. And then we got Madeline McGraw, who was in the first movie as well, played his sister. Those two characters are in this movie. They do a very good job, and it's nice to see these characters older and seeing how the events in the first movie have changed them, especially with Mason Thames' character, Finney. So I liked that. I liked how they developed those two characters. And that's really about it. I didn't really like much else in this movie. In fact, the Grabber in this movie, I told you he's very much like Freddy Krueger. But I would say he's more like dollar store Freddy Krueger, because Freddy does this whole thing when he invades people's dreams, and the rules are simple. But this movie breaks those rules, and it establishes the rules by saying that, oh no, he's like a Freddy Krueger type character. He can only attack you in your dreams. But then, later on in the movie, you start seeing him attacking people in the real world as well. So you establish these rules, now you're going against them. And usually you think, oh, he can't kill people in the real world because the people have woken up. But then you're like, no, it turns out he can attack people in the real world, so when they woke up, why did he leave? It makes no sense. It wants to be the Freddy Krueger, and the director and writer have even said that it was very much inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger. But then how did they screw up the rules? It's such basic rules, but they screwed it up. So I thought that was very bad. I'm actually shocked at them that they did that. And also, I thought that the horror was cool. It had cool and creative segments, but mostly I found it to be incredibly forgettable. The horror in this movie. So I was very, very disappointed with the horror in this film, if I'm being honest with you. It just wasn't as scary, I thought, as the first movie. The first movie I thought was a lot scarier. But in this one, it really wasn't. I was actually very much disappointed. Also, I thought that the characters, there comes a point where they have like an emotional character like development. The brother and the sister, and there's even the father in there. And I'm like, the actors are doing a good job here, but the scene's not emotionally resonating with me. So I actually thought that this movie, long story, let's just get to the end of the review. I thought the movie was very disappointing. I thought it was not, it wasn't all that. I thought the scares weren't as scary as they could be. It's copying ideas from Nightmare on Elm Street, which, honestly, when you do that, it's fine if you get the copy ideas from another movie, but then add your own stuff to it and make it a bit more different. But instead, this doesn't add its own stuff and make it different. It feels like it's just copy and pasting from someone else's movie. And it made the movie feel quite lazy in that regard. So, I was very... Excuse me. So I was very disappointed with this movie. I thought it was a big letdown. I really wish it could have taken me by surprise more, but it just didn't. And it did not emotionally resonate with me. I actually thought that the first movie was better than the second one. And the second one, it tried to be more of a horror film this time, whereas the first one was more of a thriller with horror elements. This one was full on a horror movie, and it's even more violent than the first movie. But I feel like the character, they just didn't feel like proper characters. Like in the first movie, you had the ghost kids, and they were like a very interesting kind of supporting character in the film. But in this one, the ghost kids don't really have as much, anywhere near as much personality. So yeah, I thought this movie overall doesn't hold a candle to the first one, and it felt very unoriginal. It honestly feels like you could watch this at home on a streaming service as a straight-to-video sequel. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, overall, I thought this movie was very disappointing. I wish it could have actually delved into its story more. There's a couple elements and like questions you had in the first film that this movie answers, and I thought that was very good. But overall, this is not a horror movie I would recommend. If you like the first one, I'd say rent this one. You'll like it probably better that way. But to go to the theaters, it wasn't worth it. And also, some of the horror was just noise. Especially if you watch it in a cinema with a big and loud screen like I did, you'll be disappointed. It's like the scares will just give you a headache, so... because they have a lot of loud noises. So overall, I think this is just another point... Yeah, I do think anime, this is another pointless sequel. It felt very much like a studio commissioned this. It didn't feel like the creators of the first movie wanted to tell this story. It felt like the studio told them, make a sequel, and then this is what they made. So yeah, I thought it was a very disappointing movie. I originally gave it a 5 out of 10 when I came out of the theatre, but upon reflection, I think it's a 4. It's a below average 4. This was a very disappointing movie, and quite frankly, if you don't watch it, you're not missing out on anything. Alright, so has anyone else watched this movie in the theatre? Has anyone else seen this movie yet? And have you seen the first movie? Is there cheap jump scares, says Big Bash. No, I don't think there were cheap jump scares, but some of them were quite obvious. Jump scares don't really get to me anymore. Super Angry says, damn it, why did I buy the Fortnite skin? Killick says, since there won't be a new Nightmare on Elm Street for a little while longer, this will be the closest thing to it. Yep, you're definitely right there. Because we still haven't got an Elm Street, so this is what they ended up doing. In fact, it felt like they wanted to make a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but they just couldn't make one because they probably couldn't get the rights or something. So they ended up doing this instead. Rohan said he didn't see the movie. Fair enough. That's fair enough. Did you see the first movie, Rohan? Khan says somehow I'm not too surprised about it because ever since I've heard that they were going to make the Grabber more supernatural and more like Freddy Krueger, and it honestly should have just... And it honestly should have just been enough. What are you... I think that's what you're saying there. Yeah, Big Bash, I did know Johnny Depp was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. That mask would fit well for Leatherface, yep. Guys, I think we're going to end this stream in 5 minutes. 5 or 10 minutes, because I think I am catching a cold. So, it's actually harder to speak. So, we'll get to the Q&A right now. And then we'll end the stream a bit early today. I Hate Anime says, I also thought Nobody 2 was pointless. While I thought the movie was good, it didn't feel necessary. I haven't seen Nobody 2, but I just don't really care to. But yeah, a lot of people thought it was unnecessary. Khan says, damn, really, already? Yeah, because we do normally go on... You know what? Let's see how far we can go. 45 more minutes is how much it will be until it's a 2-hour stream. So maybe then we'll see if we can go on for longer. Rohan says, Welcome to Dairy is releasing next week. Are you excited? I'm cautiously optimistic. There's no reason to be excited. Let's hope they do a good job with the story. That's what I hope. Killick, I will be watching the new It, Welcome to Dairy. Big Bash has thoughts on Irwin from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yeah, I love Irwin. Irwin is a great character, isn't he? Hilarious. Dark Lord says, I didn't see this or the first or plan to, but from what you said, Eric, even Scary Terry from Rick and Morty made more sense, bitch. Yeah, he did. Because they break their rules in the Black Phone too. Joshman says, Eric, do you think the first Zootopia movie is one of Disney's best animated movies? Do you think the story is very well written? And do you think it's very smart? I don't think it's the best Disney animated movie because they've made so much great movies that I think are better. Oh, excuse me. Do I think the story is well written? Yes, I do. I thought it wrapped up too quickly, but yes, I did think the story was well written. And do you think it's very smart? Yeah, I do think it was quite smart, especially how they had racism in there. When the fox says about the sheep, he goes, do you think when she tries to sleep, she counts herself? That's like racism for animals. I thought that was quite smart. Big Bash says, what movie do you think actually deserves a sequel in your opinion? Matt Reeves' The Batman deserves a sequel, and it's actually getting one. A movie that deserves a sequel but is not getting one, I can't really think of one. Because a lot of these movies are getting sequels, so... I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Yes, I have, Khan. Heard Jim Carrey being in the talks to be in a Jetson movie. Yeah. I saw that show, like, just a couple episodes here and there when I was very, very little. So, yeah. Eric, what is the main reason Zootopia 2 is not getting any hype? I mean, why is that? Well, a lot of movies in Hollywood are not really getting any hype these days. And Disney in particular have alienated many of their audiences, especially families. So that's why they're not as hyped to go see these movies anymore. But when they do come out, the families usually do tend to go around that point. Big Bash of thoughts on the Flintstones? I love the Flintstones. I used to always watch them when I was a kid. Alex said, seasons can end on cliffhangers. Just look at Dexter season 4. Yeah, of course they can. District 9. Yeah, that would have been good to have a sequel of that. tragic, the final scene of that movie. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes, then I'm going to end the stream. I think I'm actually starting to come down with something, and I actually am struggling right now. I probably look all colourful and stuff, but really struggling. District 9 is absolutely terrible. It reminded me of Electric State, says Greg, YouTube. Honestly, Greg, I would say the complete opposite. Electric State is so much more of a cheaper movie. District 9 actually had a good story in there. But Electric State, that was a terrible, terrible story. Just a terrible movie as well. You guys have seen my review of it. Jess says, speaking of Hollywood, I didn't bother watching Spider-Man and Fantastic Four First Steps because they've been getting mixed reviews and people are getting tired of superhero movies. Yeah, well, it just depends. But when you're at home, give them a watch, I would say, just to see what you think. Because those are probably the only 2 superhero movies worthy of saying anything about this year. What are my thoughts on Demon Slayer Season 1? Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Season 2 was fantastic. I also really enjoyed Season 3. Season 4 was also a slower season, but I really enjoyed that too. The recent movie I thought was great. I loved that recent movie. That's it. Alita Battle Angel. That should definitely have gotten a sequel. Kent, I think Thor Ragnarok is decent. If I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7. Oh, really? Nobody 2 is the same director as The Night Comes for Us. Interesting. Khan says Arkanasas was easily the best character. Do you mean Arkazar from the Demon Slayer movie? Let's see. Arkansas. Oh, yes, that's what you meant. Okay. Yeah, Arkazar. I've not seen Mystery Incorporated Big Bash, but I'm aware of it. It's meant to be a darker version of Scooby-Doo. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. So, yeah, I'd like to give that a watch. Dark Lord says no spoilers. No spoilers for what? Just says, Eric, did you know that the Mario movie got a lot of hype because Nintendo was giving the fans what they want and Hollywood wasn't involved with it? Hollywood was involved, but I'm sure Nintendo had oversight with this project, so I'm sure that's what helped. Oh, interesting con about Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Joshman says, are you going to do a video review on Zootopia 2 when it comes out in November? And are you still thinking about doing a versus video on both the first Zootopia and the second Zootopia? I'll think about that. I want to get the versus videos I'm working on right now done. When I get closer to that on November, then I'll think about doing a versus on Zootopia. Haven't responded to your private message on Discord, Goat. When did you message me? I'll think about that, Goat. You know, a channel for watch party ideas, I'll think about it. I Hate Anime says Infinity Castle won't be streaming until 2026. Yeah, that's disappointing, isn't it? Thor Ragnarok was better than than Love and Thunder, says Dead World Productions. Of course it was. Joshman says, Eric, do you think Zootopia 2 will be another box office hit alongside the live-action remakes of Lilo and Stitch? And do you think it will be profitable? Yes, I think it will be profitable. I think it will... I don't know if it'll make $1 billion, but I think there'll probably be a very good chance that it will. So yeah, I think this will be an easy success for Disney, but given how much money they've been losing this year, I wonder if it will make up for, you know, their losses. It all depends on that merchandising. Are they going to do merchandise for Zootopia? Will that, you know, get them a bunch of extra money and stuff if parents pay for toys and everything? I think that's what's really going to help them. Go, I don't even want to think about that. James Gunn making a Batman movie. I don't think he can do it. I don't think that's his wheelhouse. James Gunn's not making Batman the Brave and the Bold. He's trying to get a script commission, then they're going to get a different director to do it. So he's not writing it, someone else is, and someone else is going to direct it. And I'm sure he's going to want a different style for it, but yeah, I would never want him to direct a Batman movie. I'm aware, Greg, that box office doesn't always correlate to the quality of the movies, but sometimes... you know, you could just tell when a movie's going to make a lot of money, even if the movie's going to be good or bad. Like, just look at some of the Disney remakes, how much they ended up making, even though they weren't good. Yes, Tenrex, this is the Q&A, yeah. Khan says, okay then, before the stream ends, Eric, what are some upcoming videos that you're planning on making besides the Halloween versus video? The monkey video I'm gonna make sure I do eventually, because I stopped working on that script for a bit now because I'm working on other videos, but I got much closer to completing that script, so that's another one I'll be working on. I'll also be working on another versus video, which is not Halloween related, but it's another 3-way versus video. I'm not going to tell you anything about that yet. Then I'm going to do a 2-way versus video between another childhood movie that I saw with a more recent one that came out, so I'll do that as well. So Kevin donated $5. Thank you very much, Kevin. Donations have been very slow today. That doesn't usually happen. This is actually the first time in a while that the donations have been quite a bit slow. But thank you very much for that, Kevin. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I've got plenty of videos coming, and I've also just put a big long video up about Peacemaker Season 2 on my Patreon, so that's something that you can definitely check out. I did a YouTube short recently, and I've got more ideas as well. Right now, it's the versus video that I'm working on that is taking up all my time. Kevin says, what's worse, Batman and Robin or Mortal Kombat Annihilation? And then he says, McDonald's made a mistake promoting Batman Returns. Should Paul Rudd voice Wario in Wario Movie 2? Alright, let's start at the beginning. Batman and Robin or Mortal Kombat Annihilation? Which is worse? Batman and Robin. Because Mortal Kombat Annihilation, bad movie, very, very bad movie. I'd say technically it's not as bad as Batman, but when you take into account the damage that Batman and Robin did to Batman, that makes it worse. But if I had to say which one is objectively the worst movie, it's definitely Mortal Kombat. At least with Batman and Robin, you can watch it as an Adam West type, corny, campy Batman movie. Even though it was clearly not supposed to be that. It was supposed to be continuing off of, you know, the Batman movies before that. McDonald's made a mistake promoting Batman Returns. They actually didn't promote it. They thought they did make a mistake, so they backtracked, and they said they don't want to promote it anymore. That's why Warner Brothers wanted to make Batman Forever a lighter movie, and they got Tim Burton off of it. And should Paul Rudd voice Wario in Mario Movie 2? I don't think so. Wario has got a different voice, and I don't think Paul Rudd can pull it off, really. So thank you, Kevin, for that $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. Jess says, I only watched the Friday remake to see Jason killing people at Crystal Lake because none of them are likable. Yeah, I've only seen the Friday the 13th remake as well. I've not seen the original. KFC or Burger King, says Goat. KFC, I'd say. 10Rex says, when was your reaction when the Velociraptors in Rebirth got the Jurassic Park 3 T-Rex treatment, and did it surprise you? Oh, what was my reaction during that scene? I can't even remember what that scene was, to be honest with you. Khan says, what is your biggest horror hot take? I don't think I've got a horror hot take, but the thing that I've got, the opinion I have with all horror movies is that even though I love horror movies, it's got the trope that I hate the most. That trope being the twist horror movie ending, where you spend so much time with the horror characters and they finally get through everything, but then with some bullshit twist at the end, they lose, even though they did everything they could and they followed the rules to the T in terms of how they stop this entity. They lose at the end for a stupid reason. That always pissed me off. I never liked that. So yeah, I never liked that. The twist horror movie ending. Yeah, Khan, I agree. That's for me. I remember the first Insidious. I was like, it's a good movie, but that ending just killed it. And thankfully for them, they made a sequel to Insidious, and then that one had a better ending. And I was like, okay, if the fact that it continues after the end of that first one, that made it better. And I was like, okay, now I like the two of them as like a duo type film. They work well together. Anime I did, but that was not a twist horror movie ending. That felt like there was a build up to it. It was actually building up to that twist the whole time, and it was a plan. It wasn't just a horror twist. These horror movies, they clearly weren't building up to that, and they just pull it out of their back pocket at the last second. That I don't like. It's a bait and switch. But when you actually plan a story and it leads to that ending, like an Upgrade, that was planned. That was writing. That was good storytelling. These horror movies, they don't have that when they do that last second twist. It's just something they do at the last second, and I've never liked it. A couple horror movies can do it well, but most of them don't. Adam Grundy says, I don't think it's fair to say the DCU is doomed because of the Peacemaker finale. I wouldn't say it's doomed because of the finale, so I agree with you. I would say it's not fair to say that either. But it does make you think that if James Gunn has done something like that... It does make you think if James Gunn has done something like that, how come he didn't know? He should have been able to know that that was not a satisfactory ending. Like, I expect him or someone to tell him, because James Gunn said he does not want yes people, yes men talking to him. He wants people telling him about the quality of his stuff. But no one told him about this, and this was one of the most obvious things where someone could have told him, this is a terrible final episode. And they didn't tell him. Or James Gunn didn't have the foresight to know himself for some reason. Plus, he also made very silly decisions as well when he was doing... He made very silly decisions as well when he was like making a music video at the end of the episode, the final episode, with intercutting footage from the band in there and everything. I thought that was so bad. That felt like how Zack Snyder gets really overly kind of like pretentious with his directing style. This was James Gunn getting overly pretentious with his directing style. And I was like, you just lost the plot here, like literally, figuratively and literally. So yeah, hang on. We got a. Oh, that's very nice. We got a £1 donation from King of the Monsters 2021. Thank you very much, buddy. And we got Kevin, who did a $2 donation. So King of the Monsters 2021 says, I'm back, and I'm back with doing Photoshop work. But first, I want to show this publicly, because it's hilarious. And he sent me a Google Drive link. Okay, I'll try to get into that. It's not letting me, so... Oh, there we go. That should do it. Oh, excuse me. Oh, let me get to that page. Because I can't find... There we go. We should be at my dashboard here. And I should be able to answer that for you. Shouldn't completely discredit him, but it definitely makes you keep an eye on him, because I think Adam Grunther, I think that James Gunn should have known better. For someone on his caliber, you don't expect something really bad like this to pass by, and I think it was that bad. And I was liking the whole show, the whole of the season so far. Despite its problems, I really enjoyed it. And I had no expectations. I just wanted it to end in a satisfying way, whether it was with a bang or whether it was with anything else. And what he did, it was just, it really bugged me. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me save this, so I'll just have to take a snapshot picture. And King of the Monsters 2021, for some reason, guys, this is what he wants me to share. He put it on the Discord, now he's putting it here. There you go, he did this picture of me and him. This really does take you back, doesn't it, to when King of the Monsters would keep sending stuff. This is new, though, isn't it? Drive link is working, but it's not letting me save the image. Maybe I'm doing something. Oh, there's the download. Got it. It's alright, this works. The future. Make the UK great again, says Big Bash. Darkless, I remember his Godzilla in army hat. Yep. Indeed. And Kevin said people are posting, with his super chat, he says people are posting AI photos of Robin Williams. Not cool. Yeah, it's not cool, but that's kind of what we thought things would happen with when AI started to get into the picture. But the thing is, they've been doing other things too, so it's not just Robin Williams photos, there's other photos as well that they've done. So, you know, AI is like a bottomless pit. You don't know where it will stop, where it will end. It can just keep on going. So, yeah. So yeah, King of the Monsters, that was a funny image. That was. King of the Monsters says, yeah, I'm really honing in my Photoshop skills. Indeed you are. That's the future we should head towards, says the Big Bash. Khan says, take me back to the days when King of the Monsters used to post so many posters, so many fun memories. Yeah, he used to do that, like so many of them. And I used to show all of them as well, I remember. Deadwolf Production says, respect Robin Williams. Joshua says, Eric, I'll be seeing Zootopia 2 in November, but if Disney screws off a fourth time, then that's it. I'm boycotting future Disney animated movies until they get their crap together. I wouldn't blame you. Did you see Megan 2? Says, I hate anime. I did, and I thought it was going to be terrible based on the marketing. The very girly and fetishizing marketing. But the movie itself was fun. It was nothing like the marketing. So I think the marketing is what really killed it. In fact, me and my brother said if the marketing wasn't so girly and it would have actually represented the movie that we actually got, we both would have actually gone to see it in theaters. So yeah. Adam Grunther says, putting the bad stuff aside, is there anything you genuinely liked in Season 2? Yeah, I did. I said I liked the first 7 episodes. There was some stuff in there I said that was not as good, but like I said, we're putting aside the stuff I didn't like as much. I liked John Cena as always. I thought Harcourt was pretty cool. I liked Judo Master as always fun. And yeah, overall it's fun. You're just with these characters again, and I really enjoyed that. I liked... John Cena is a great actor. He keeps getting better with these. And I like any time he goes through any emotional turmoil. And seeing the whole Earth 10 side of his family and everything and how he tried to live with them. I really did like that. And his father as well. Who would have seen that coming? And then, of course, when the bad stuff happens, I was like, oh man, that's nasty. That was really cool stuff. And the whole thing with his brother and John Cena crying over him, I was like, this is the stuff I love about Peacemaker, when it does stuff like this. Even when it's nasty. It shows, that's why I said, James Gunn, this is his wheelhouse. He knows how to do this kind of thing. So I really did. There's a lot of stuff I loved in Season 2. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Season 1, but there's a lot of stuff I loved in Season 2. In particular, how Peacemaker is growing as a character. But I will say, I didn't feel like the stakes were as high in the second one. Like... the characters in the first one, you felt like they were always in danger. Anything could happen to them. In the second season, I didn't feel that. In particular with Eagley. Because Eagley, he never got in danger. Like, you thought at some point he would be in, like, deep shit. But he never did. He always survived everything. And always, like, took people out. I was like, come on, he's making him overpowered at this point, I feel. I don't know how he's able to survive this much people when he actually got hurt in that first season. But yeah, no, I really liked this season until that final episode. I know, Adam, that you said that you probably thought I wasn't going to like this season. You said it in one of your recent comments. I didn't say anything, but I was thinking, well, that's actually wrong, because I did like it. It wasn't the final... It was just the final episode I didn't like. Oh, Adam says, one thing I will say is that Peacemaker has always bragged that he doesn't have an arch enemy. Now he's got one, and it's his brother. Yeah, but I don't know if we're going to actually see that, you know, because they're not going to make a Peacemaker Season 3. So it's like, when is it going to happen? 3 years from now? 4 years from now? Because James Gunn's making another movie? It's just kind of messy. It's like it's gotten a little messy all of a sudden. Ugh. Adam says, doesn't have to be a Peacemaker Season 3 for us to see Keith again. We're going to see him. They outright said this is his supervillain origin. Oh, did they say that? I did not know that. Even so, I don't want to see Keith go up against any other Justice League member, because I don't care. I only care about seeing him go up against Peacemaker and his crew. So, I don't care if he's going to be in another project. I want to see Keith go up against Peacemaker, is what I want to see. Oh, cool, Connor. Connor says he's back and that he's watched the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things. The first 3 seasons are the best. Season 4, a lot of people like season 4, but I actually thought season 4 was really bad to the point that it actually put me off of the show. It had its moments for sure, but I feel like it started to get overly long. The writing got worse, and the kids, now that they're older, that cute charm, that Steven Spielberg like Amblin charm that the first 3 seasons had, is kind of lost in season 4. Adam Grunther says, I still think Earth 10 is going to be the big threat of this phase for the DCU. Could you imagine if, in that Lanterns show coming up with the 2 Lanterns, can you imagine if they end up in Earth 10? Like, that would be kind of interesting if they're in Earth 10. And that's like another bunch of characters that got introduced into Earth 10, or got into contact with Earth 10. But I think we'll find out very quickly if they're in Earth 10, because Jon Stewart is a black man. So we'll find out very quickly if they are in Earth 10. Cons says, hey Eric, how are all the Patreon commissions going? They're going good. In fact, I've been working on a couple of them. I have worked on one particular reaction. I'm going to get to watching and writing the review for another couple as well. So they're getting along. They're starting to get into development, which is cool. So yeah, they're going along well. Even the monkey video, I've written the script for like 80% of it. And it's going to be a longer review. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how things have been going. Adam Grother says, do you think Dave Bautista would have been a good Peacemaker if he got cast like originally intended? I'd say no. I was done with watching Dave Bautista do more of these comedic characters. So, no. I'm actually glad he's not Peacemaker. I don't want to see him play that kind of role from James Gunn again. So I'd say no. There's differences for sure, but just no. I think it was about time we saw someone else, and I'm glad we got John Cena. Oh, we got another Streamlabs image. From King of the Monsters. Here we go. Speaking of Patreon, here's a little reminder. A little reminder indeed. Feast your eyes on this, guys. Another one of King of the Monsters messages. Now he's doing from Godzilla to K-pop. That's a different Batman logo, though, isn't it? That's not the Batman logo from Matt Reeves' version. Let you guys look at that whilst I copy and save this. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm catching a cold. So yeah, feast your eyes on that. Looks pretty cool. Adam says, hopefully despite the finale of Peacemaker, I'm still excited for Lanterns. It has some of the best writers attached. Plus, it's nice to finally get Green Lantern content after over a decade. Yeah, especially for Jon Stewart, because I've wanted to see a live-action version of him forever. And the actor they got to play him looks perfect. So, I'm having high hopes. Ten Rex says, why did you stream if you have a cold? Because I didn't have a cold when I was streaming. I said I felt like I was having a bit of a sick feeling in my throat. But now the nose, as I've been doing the stream, has just been getting stuffy. So I didn't start a stream when I had a cold, but I got one in between the stream. I'm almost made it though. So 10 more minutes on the stream and then we'll call it quits. Yeah, of course I'll watch the new Christopher Nolan movie anime. Definitely. Kent, I thought Thor Ragnarok was decent. Huh, Joshua says, Eric, do you know Tron Ares is the first Tron movie to receive a PG-13 rating? And I do feel like Disney's going to ruin the Predator franchise. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Is there another drive link? Adam Grunther, that is such a hard question to answer. Those are two great sequels. Oh, here's another one. No, I wasn't aware that you had done another one. Here's the other one that he put up. Adam says, I was going to request that when I finally work up the courage to pledge on that tier on Patreon, decided on something else. Fair enough. Oh. If I had to choose, though, I haven't broken it down, but if I had to choose off the top of my head, I'd say Terminator 2. But I haven't broken it down. That's not an in-depth Eric Carter versus type of assessment. It's just off the top of my head. So if I actually made the versus video, who knows? I would probably come up with a different answer. Big Bash says, what are my honest thoughts on the scrapped plans George Lucas had for his sequels? I can't remember exactly what they were, but I remember he was supposed to talk about, you know, what a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away was meant to mean, and it was also meant to have Darth Maul in it. It sounds out there and a bit crazy, but I feel like if he had his Clone Wars writing team helping him, I think they would have made it something special. What's a bad movie I have nostalgia for? Probably Batman Forever. That's not a particularly good movie, but I have nostalgia for it. Deadwolf says, gotta go now. See you next stream. No problem, buddy. Take care. Joshua says, Eric, I've not seen the movie Oppenheimer, but I know you stated that in your review that they did not utilize the R rating properly, and it was very poorly utilized. Yeah, it was very poorly utilized. Just a couple F-bombs and some nudity. Very disappointing. Adam Grunther says, which video idea do you think would be more fun to do? Terminator 2 versus Aliens or Superman 78 versus Batman 89? Ooh. It's a very good comparison. It depends what kind of mood I'm in. Probably because I just did a Superman versus video recently, I feel a bit Superman'd out right now, because that was a huge video. That was a big undertaking to edit that video. So I'd say probably Terminator 2 and Aliens. That would be different. Ethan's Drawing says, how do I send an image to you? All you gotta do is do a donation through Streamlabs. It can be something as short as $1. Just go to... If you click on the link in the description, the first link, it says support the channel, and it's Streamlabs. If you click that, or if you go to the pinned comment section on the live stream chat, and you click the link there, post your link of whatever image you want me to send, and then I'll receive it and I'll display it. It's got to be appropriate, of course, but yeah, then I'll display it. Can't go against YouTube's guidelines of what you can see or not. The Dark Lord says, Cartman needs to sing Kyle's mom again. Yep, he does. Time Shadow says, hey Eric, sorry I haven't been in touch lately. It's been a busy few weeks, but I'll try and get back to you at some point this week, hopefully. Cool, bud. Thanks for keeping me updated. Big Bash says, Eric, do you know Butters from South Park was based off of the animation director who Matt Stone made fun of a lot? Yeah, I actually saw the YouTube short of that recently, which is probably where you saw it. And yeah, I found that out just recently, I think just yesterday or today. It might have been yesterday. Adam Grunther says, which horror movie did you like more, Sinners or Weapons? Probably Weapons. Sinners was good, but I just never feel like going back to it. It's very much, the movie is what it is to me. I don't think it's anything more than that, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Weapons to me is a movie that it hooked me very early on, and you know, my eyes widened like holy shit with a few scenes in particular. With Sinners, you kind of knew what was coming. It never took me by surprise, I'd say probably is the biggest thing about it, but I still enjoyed it. Which one do you prefer, Adam Grunt, the Sinners or Weapons? I'm curious. Big Bash, I've never seen that movie that they made, Team America World Police, but I've heard about it a long time ago, but I've never seen it. What's my favourite restaurant food that I enjoy? Probably grills. Like, you know, if you go get grilled food, I usually like that a lot. Probably, like, if I had to pick my favourite. Yeah, Smoke and Stack were cool characters. Tenrex, I'm in a house. Big Bash, I think I played some of the Stick of Truth, I think. But I actually have the Fractured But Whole. And that... I had it on my Steam Deck. I haven't played too far into it, but I played some of that. That was kind of fun. I would say Remick. Remick just seems like someone who's kind of got it together. He's very devious as well. Gladys, I wish they would have told us more about her. Normally you don't want horror movies to tell you stuff, but with her I felt like we earned it. We earned some answers. Excuse me. And they didn't give it to us, so I felt a bit shortchanged with her character. But yeah, I'd say he's probably the more interesting of the two. Oh yeah, that minigame in the Stick of Truth's Big Bash. I think they banned it in the UK, which was interesting. Because everyone in the UK just looked it up on YouTube then to see what the uncensored version was. Okay, we're going to end the stream in 2 more minutes. That will be a 2-hour stream. I'm kind of surprised that I got through it. It was a bit tricky to do so, but I'm glad I could keep you guys entertained for all that time. But yeah, 2 more minutes, so get your questions in there. If you want to get them in quickly to me, the best way is through Super Chats or Streamlabs chats, and I'll be able to answer you immediately. And your question will get put right to the top of the pile, and it will get displayed on screen. The best Demon Slayer villain. Well, I need to... I want to watch the seasons again, because I haven't seen the first season and second season in years now. Third season I've not seen in a while either. The best villains? I would say Arkazar right now, if you watch the recent Demon Slayer, because he was a great villain throughout this, but in particular at the end, you're like, beat the crap out of him. And then that thing happens. If you haven't seen it, you'll know what I mean. Yeah, I think I heard that big bash about Blame Canada, that it was nominated. A lot of catchy songs in that, surprisingly. Monty says, "Hey Eric, get ready for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on December 5, 2025. 3 months ago, they did early test screenings and the audience have responded enthusiastically." Yeah, I don't care what those early test screeners say, because early viewers, they always say some incredibly positive things, like the Black Phone 2. That movie that I said was just mediocre at best. Early reactors, early viewers said it's one of the best horror sequels ever made. And some people are even saying it's like the best horror movie of the year, like Weapons and Sinners, like, look out, here's the next best thing. It's like, oh, shut up. Like, there's people having opinions, but then there's people just saying stupid shit, and that's exactly what this was. It's like the movie if you want to like it, but saying it's like stuff like it's the best horror sequel, like, where did that come from? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if those are people that actually made the movie, posing as viewers, like what I did with my fake IMDb reviews for Slender Man. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what those are, because it's ridiculous for people to actually say that with a straight face about Black Phone 2. Alright guys, with that said, I think we're going to call it quits here. I am going to go get some rest. It's approaching 2 a.m. in the morning, and I still haven't gotten some of my Versus video editing done, so I'm going to get some of that done. Guys, it was an absolute blast chatting with you guys. I love all of you. Thank you for your support on Patreon, on Streamlabs, and the super chats you do. Really always helps. As always, if you join any of these Patreon tiers, you'll get additional content your way, plus you'll be supporting the channel. And please do join the Discord family, because there's about 15 of us, and that the family is just growing even further. So please do join that, and we'll be able to chat with you on voice calls, and you'll be able to join onto our text channels. And also, next week, we're not going to be doing a live stream. Like I said, we're doing one live stream a week, one Discord voice call a week. Next week, on next Sunday, we're going to be doing a watch party, and we'll be watching either Coraline or Monster House together. I'm going to decide by the time we get to next week, so you're definitely going to want to join for next week's watch party. And of course, like I said, all the proceeds, it all supports the channel and helps me do this full time, because that's ultimately the goal. I'd love to make content full time for you guys. So, guys, thank you very much as always for watching. I really appreciate it. Please do check out any of my recent videos if you haven't. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos. They're going to be absolutely great. And of course, if you can, also be sure in the description I've got links to my Amazon affiliates. If you're going to do any Amazon purchasing or any pre-Halloween or Christmas purchasing or whatever, please do it through my links, as it gives me some additional support through Amazon, and you don't pay anything to give me that support. So I'd really appreciate that too. Guys, thank you very much as always. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch all of you very soon. Take care.